Welcome to another episode of Spiral Theory, Understanding the Body Through the Forces of Nature. I'm your host, Shila LaGrue. Let's start discovering.
Welcome. Today we have a very special guest, Jade Skinner. She's the premier yoga teacher in the St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa Bay area for almost 2 decades or more. Very experienced. She has a soup club. She has a love for anatomy. She has a small child, a beautiful daughter named Hannah, and just so many things that I'm very excited to have Jade. We have exciting collaborations in the future. We like to geek out on anatomy together, and also a dear friend. So welcome.
Thanks, Sheila. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. I just want to start a little bit with your own history and how you got into yoga and your career.
So it's quite interesting how I got into yoga. It can be a long story, but anyways, I was going to community college in North Carolina, and I always took an extracurricular. So I did the weight training, I did the aerobics, I did the weight training again. I was like, I don't want to do that because I'm doing it on my own. And they happen to have a description for yoga on the door, and I read it. Sounded cool. Didn't know anything about it. Signed up for it, and was life-changing instantly. Like my life started to change drastically, radically, fast. So I'll just fast forward. So from there, that was back in 2000. I moved to Florida in 2002. And just practice yoga on my own. Didn't really have or know about teaching yoga, or that wasn't really like my interest. I was still heavy into fitness and Pilates and partying, still into that. So my friend would come over and wake me up at 7 a.m. in the morning 2 times a week and drag me out of bed. Of course,
That's a good friend.
I was probably hungover, and go to the gym, because the only yoga around town was at Gold's Gym. And I think Chris was teaching he had his St. Pete yoga little thing going on. That was it.
There was not a lot here.
That was it. So I would go there 2 times a week and practice, and there were various teachers, and, it was a good challenge for me. And then my first actual yoga teacher, Di Tyson, arrived on the scene. Moved from the West Coast. She started teaching there, and she came up to me one day after class. I tell all my students that come into my trainings this. She comes up to me, and I'm standing against the wall, and I'm talking to my friend, and she goes, "You need to take my yoga teacher training." And I'm just standing there just talking, completely, not even paying attention, because I don't think that she's talking to me. And then she's standing right in front of me. And I looked at her, I was like, "Are you talking to me?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Well, why do I need to take your training? I don't want to be a yoga teacher. I want to be a Pilates instructor." That's really what I wanted to do. I was like,
know that.
Yeah, I wanted to be a Pilates instructor. I was so hooked on Pilates. Because it was more, yoga, the challenge is the mental challenge, but there's also the physical aspects, and I just didn't understand it. And the Pilates was this like super physical challenge, mental, everything. It just was like a really good workout.
Right.
So,
and yoga has all these other things like meditation.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that?
So she goes, "Don't do the Pilates. Wait till later. Do the yoga first." And I looked at her and I was like, "Why should I be a yoga teacher? Why should I do your training?" She goes, "It'll change your life forever, Jade."
Whoa.
I was like, "Okay, I'm going to sit on that for a minute, and I'll get back to you." But it was one of those, you've been asking for a change in your life, so pay attention to the signs. So I sat on. And I was like, those are really powerful words to say to somebody. Like, what exactly does she mean by that? Especially when you're asking for deep change in your life at that very moment, So I came back, and I did, I think it was either the next training or the training after, back in 2007, a long time ago. And here we are.
Yeah. And that was an Ashtanga training?
She was not an Ashtanga training. It was a Hatha training.
Okay.
But we had books that we had to buy. And David Swenson's practice manual, Ashtanga Yoga practice manual, is one of the books for just reference. And as we're going, she's talking about, postures and stuff. And I'm looking at this book going, why aren't we doing what this guy's doing? Like, he's sitting here in these ridiculous shapes with smiles on his face. Like, why aren't we doing this stuff? And, but my interest was leaning in that way for some reason. I was just gravitated. I was curious.
Yeah.
Very curious. So after the training, I asked her if she would teach me Ashtanga Yoga, because I wanted to go study with this guy in the book in San Francisco and see my best friend kill two birds with one stone after graduation was done. And so she came over and she said, I'm not going to teach you, but I'll practice with you. So I just practice, and I would look over like, how are you doing that? How are you levitating off the ground like that? How do you get your body in that twist? Like, what is going on here? So That was the beginning of my yoga journey that turned into my passion and love for Ashtanga Yoga.
And now your career
is primarily Ashtanga Yoga.
Yeah.
And I teach other methods of yoga, other styles of yoga, but all of my teaching comes from this practice, from the Ashtanga lineage.
When I moved to St. Pete, probably like 12, 13 years ago now, I can't even, time is weird. It might be more than that. But when I moved to St. Pete, you were, I think, only teaching Ashtanga, mostly in Clearwater. And then you joined up with the Body Electric Yoga Company, and you were you started an Ashtanga program, the Mysore program. And it seems like after a little time had gone by, you started going back into teaching vinyasa flow and more kind of like not Ashtanga style.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
Tell me about that transition and maybe why, like what you were interested in changing.
I think part of it was that there were so many students that I would see in the morning time coming to do a power flow or do a vinyasa class, and they had no insight or no information into the Mysore practice, which is the Ashtanga practice taught in the traditional way of one-on-one in a group setting. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then I would get questions, and then nothing, It was kind of like in some sense hard to put my face to the program because I was so early in the morning that no other students would ever see me any other time during the day. So they would, question, who is this? Who's this person? And then all of a sudden I'd pop in and teach a power class, or I'd pop in and teach a flow class. I'd sub and, introduce myself, and they're like, oh. So anyways, that's like one reason was to show my face to the community more. And I think the other reason for coming in and teaching flow is that I was having students from other styles of practice come into my Mysore room with maybe a little lack of foundation. I'll just put it that way. So I don't know. And I think change is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Change is good, and having variety is good. And it
speaking of change and variety, I mean, really one of the pillars of Ashtanga is that you're doing the same practice every single day. So you have a set point as a barometer to see where you're at. And it's not an always changing marker.
Yes.
So variety.
Yeah. Variety. And variety is good. And then also encouraging students that variety is good for you. You know, new students who are coming in from power flow or coming in from hot or vinyasa, just regular flow. I always encourage them. I'm probably the one of the black sheeps of the Ashtanga teacher collective, because I encourage other styles of practice for them to do. If you love to do this, then keep doing it. But if you, at the same time, if you're going to invest your time into this practice, you have to make a bit more space for it to settle and sink in and understand. But I practice Ashtanga. I practice flow because I teach flow. So I'm a big believer of you need to practice what you teach. I teach hot flow too. It's fun. it's challenging to be.
It's my favorite class that you teach.
I love
actually.
that.
Yeah.
That's such an honor. Every time you walk in, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's here in my class. Like, what did I do for her to be here in my class?
I'm so drawn to your style of teaching. I've never really taken to Ashtanga, and I think it's because of my background as a dancer. There are several styles of dance techniques that are the same every class. The Graham technique, the Paul Taylor technique, a little bit with ballet as well, depending on the style. So you're doing the same physical thing every day. So as a yoga practice, I was more interested in the variety. So I never really went full forced Ashtanga, but I appreciate what it has to offer as that set point that's never changing, so you can see where you're changing. I feel like that's one of the powerful things about it. But that being said, I am so drawn to the way you've put together some of the disciplines from Ashtanga and the exploration and the care that it takes to find how to be in yoga postures with your body's unique architecture. And you really allow people to not only explore their architecture, because we're not all going to end up in the same degree of twist or side bend or whatever.
Absolutely.
You encourage the exploration, and you hold such a safe space in terms of warming up to it. It's not like just get in there, get into that pose, which a lot of styles might actually kind of forego some of that care. So I really appreciate your class for that reason.
Oh, thanks, Sheila. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. That makes me feel really good. I'm doing a good job, y'all. I'm getting it from one of the masters over here.
Yoga is definitely my love. I at Body Center, I have neurosomatic therapy and Pilates, because Pilates has always been for me a way to use biomechanics to see people's issues. It's not necessarily the choreography, but the philosophy behind it, getting into the inner unit and that spinal stability and mobility. I love the philosophy and how in Pilates trainings, they dive into that a little more deeply than with yoga, because yoga covers this gamut of, like I was saying before, meditation, the spirituality, all of that philosophy. There's so much that's not physical. So you have to learn all that in your teacher training. So you don't get to dive into the details of the physicality that I feel like it requires until you do a 300.
Yeah. Coming to that 300. But as what you were saying about, pranayama and meditation and how Pilates with yoga and how Pilates talks about the inner unit, gets you connected with that. And in yoga, we connect with our inner unit through our Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. And that's one of the things about the Ashtanga practice and the Mysore program, is that you are getting that teaching and information in the beginning of your practice, which is pretty much the heart of the physical practice, to help you understand your body better, and also to take you from the external to the internal. Whereas in a lot of other classes, vinyasa and flow and stuff, where a lot of us are sitting on the external before we come into the internal, because there isn't a lot of emphasis on breath and connection. We're trying to get through a flow. At least this is like how I see it sometimes, not all the time.
So much. The way I look at it, there's so much to cover in a yoga training. Yeah. It's like, how do you get to it all?
How do you get to it all? Well, when you're in a 200-hour training, I think that just the objective of a 200-hour training is to teach you how to teach a sequence. You are, at the same time, you're scratching the surface of anatomy, you're scratching the surface of breath and meditation, you're scratching the surface of Ayurveda, you are scratching the surface of philosophy, you're scratching the surface of so many other things. And then the primary basis of it is to teach you how to teach a sequence, because a lot of the students coming in there, that's what they want to learn. They want to learn how to teach a sequence so they can teach yoga classes. When you come into a 300-hour training, which is what I've transitioned over to, and I'm just was so nervous about it because I'm teaching teachers to refine their teaching, so we can be better at what we do, right? And I was so nervous. And after the first session, I sat there and had a conversation with myself about, this is what I want to do, because the conversations are deeper, and the students coming in have already been through a 200-hour teaching are already teaching. Some of them might not be. They're, just getting more information and more knowledge and more education for their own self. But the depth of the material is, I find, in this advanced 300-hour teacher training, is all of those things that you just kind of scratch the surface on.
Yeah.
Now we get to go deeper. And now we are going to integrate it all into, how do you truly hold space for every single person in the room simultaneously, with dialectical thinking and without projecting. Like, how can you change this about this person's maybe constitution or their structural anatomy right now, while you're encouraging these people over here to do this, and at the same time telling the whole room to stay in the space of the breath. And it's a lot.
It's truly one of the most difficult things.
Yeah.
I've ever done, is to hold space for a whole room full of people teaching yoga.
Yes. And then if I'm teaching a hot yoga class, that's a whole other element there.
Oh my gosh. Is someone like dying of heat? Is someone not hot enough? It's
what
like,
do I say?
regulating that temperature is not easy. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into all these elements of being a yoga teacher. And I was invited to be part of your 300-hour teacher training program.
So honored.
Oh my gosh, I'm so, we first started with a 200-hour years ago. I just taught just anatomy, pretty simple. But now you're giving me a platform to teach whatever I find the most interesting facet of anatomy, or the most useful for these teachers that are already experienced. Where are we going from there? I mean, I had a similar feeling as you. That first class that I went into your group, I was just like, this is so awesome. Everyone's interested. Everyone has the experience, and we're going deeper.
Yes.
And they want more.
Yes.
And we get to talk about all these different layers. It's amazing.
They want more.
They want more.
They're like, we want more. It can be more.
So I'm going into.
I was just talking to our friend Ryan.
Yes.
About how do we clone you? He says, she's really good, isn't she? I said, yes. How do we clone her? I just had a session with her, and in my head, I'm going, I think I should go to this school and just, and I think I should go to this school and maybe work next to Shila or beside her. It's a thought. It's a thought that's been there since you've started the Body Center. And I've been
likewise, I'm like, how do I stay beside Jade as much as possible? So we're definitely into the collaboration idea.
Yes.
And I just want to mention like a couple of the subjects that I'm going to bring into your training is a little more on the neurological side of things. Talking about not just breath, but the pressures. The pressure differences in the body, and that ties into the bandhas, whereas bandhas are often, they can be anatomical, but they can also be like a kind of a deeper spiritual thing as well.
They're also the answer to everything.
Yeah, the key, the master key, the master key.
I have this, Mula Bandha. I have this going on, Mula Bandha.
Yeah, it's the answer for everything. But then also getting into, okay, so anatomy. You know how to give a correction, but what are you really seeing in front of you? Like, let's talk about what we're really seeing.
Exactly.
So like talking about all these different types of adaptations and compensations and people dealing with injuries that end up, then their chaturanga looks so different, but we're like, but why? So we're trying to understand the why behind what we see. That was our first class. We're going to get into myofascial slings in the next class, and bringing in all that neurological stuff with like focus and tongue placement and all these things that I don't think you could bring that up in a 200-hour. So I'm likewise loving the 300-hour.
Oh, I'm so happy.
So fun.
So happy. And just to circle back to that first class, I was having a conversation with Ryan actually about what you're presenting and in the classroom, and getting students. And also it's it's tying in with what I'm teaching the students, like how do you look at bodies? And then if you're coming in to physically adjust a body with consent, how do you adjust the body? What are you looking for? I'm going to show you the basic adjustment, and then I want to see what you see.
Yeah.
Right? You might see something different than what I see. And I think in the first class, when you came in, you were touching back on that. Okay, so everybody's in samastitihi, somebody's in down dog. What do you see? And I remember one student saying, what am I looking for? I said, well, just take a moment and look at the posture. And if you were circling around a room and you see this student and his posture's like this, what could you invite in before going into all of this movement? Like what could you invite in to create some space or some stability or a little bit of more flexibility in the body, not just for that person, but for everyone in the room is going to benefit from it, regardless if their posture is somewhat similar or not,
Yeah.
And then go into teaching and then coming back and touching back on that again and then going back into teaching. So that's when you actually really start to teach asana, I believe, is when you can see those small details and you can make those fine-tune adjustments and still keep the integrity and the pace and the theme of your class going. Or just take that part of, I call it a playbook. You take that play and you scratch it and you throw it out the window and you just start a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The beauty of, it's just so exciting to actually be a teacher. I miss it. I don't teach group classes anymore. I definitely miss it, but I love reading the room. I love that moment where you're like, everything I planned is going out the window.
Right.
I mean, you would think you would be frightened at that moment, but that's a moment I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to follow this outline because that's not what's in front of me. It's very liberating, but that's absolutely what's going on. I mean, there are so many layers to hold space for a class, and,
Yes.
and you do it so masterfully. So
Thanks, Sheila. Thanks for saying that.
absolutely. So, speaking of collaborations,
More collaborations for us. More
so what's
on
been
the
going
rise.
on the past couple years is you've been referring a lot of your students to me.
Oh my gosh. Because if all of you listeners out there are listening right now, I call Sheila the magician. Because you're magical. Like what you just your base of knowledge, like your schooling, but also your innate intelligence, your just intuition of when somebody's on your table. They're standing in front of you and you're doing structural alignment and you're talking about this, and this. And with my own body, how you've helped me figure out a lot of patterns that I didn't even know existed. And then also helping me see the patterns that I'm creating with repetitive movement with some things that I do where I paddle, outrigger canoes.
Not just paddle, you're racing.
We're racing. Yes. I've taken a little bit of a break this year because, I have a busy toddler. But when I was for the past, 5-6 years, oh no, man, it's maybe like 8-9 years. Time goes by.
It's so weird.
It's crazy. So, showing me the patterns that I'm doing when I'm in movement and putting me on boxes and propping me up and having me get my paddle and mimic. And then, you come in with your knowledge and make some space in my body and give me some information and also give me some applicable tools that I could take with me without having to go to a gym. I could do it standing in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And those little seeds would just stick with me and start sticking with me, and things would change in my body and I just feel better and not have to see you as much as I was. But I have to speak for myself, like the instant change, it's like, instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I'll put a disclaimer out there. Not everybody's going to get that. But the instant change that would happen where I feel, oh, I can now stand up taller and I can turn my head this way. And now when I paddle, I can feel this muscle activate and this one relax, was just, it's a game changer. And so the students that I see on a regular basis, because in the Mysore room, I'm seeing the same students.
Yeah.
Over every day, Some of them I see 2 times a week. Some of them I see 5 days a week. But I've been seeing them for years and some of them decades, and seeing patterns in them. And I don't have some of the insight like you have. And so I think, I'd send them to you. I'm like, go see Shila. Go see Shila. Just go see her, because I think that she can help you figure some stuff out. So when you do come back to your practice, you will feel more comfortable in your body, and you'll have more of your own inner insight and intuition to be able to move through practice without any discomfort. And if it does arise, you know what to do to change it. I can give so much information, which I think a lot of information I give is pretty in-depth and valuable, but I just think that the collaboration has brought more awareness, body awareness, and external and internal to the students that have been coming to see you, and their practice has changed, which has made my work in the room a bit easier, actually.
I just have to say, it's ironic that you put it that way, because I feel the exact same way.
Yes.
Like when my client, I just recently told one of our joint clients to come back into your class because he took a many-year hiatus. I said, you need to get back into Jade's yoga class. I saw him there the first time and I said, thank you for making my job easier. So I feel the same way.
Yes.
So, and then this is absolutely my philosophy on how to make change in your body is, first of all, awareness, key. You can't change if you're not aware of the landscape that you're looking at. But essentially what I'm really excited about is future collaborations going even further. Because so far we've had quite a bit of success sharing each other's experience one-on-one with the individual, and are able to give them little tidbits of homework. They get to follow their led Ashtanga practice as the movement constant for them to be in this safe place to make change. And they're experimenting with different places to place their breath, different places to place their foot grounding points, maybe different ways of using their gaze, all these things. And then, so they get these little tidbits from me, and then they're saying, okay, now before you start your Ashtanga practice, you have to roll out your glute with this ball, which I think is so also non-conventional for Ashtanga too, right?
Yeah, my Mysore room is very unconventional Mysore room, by the way. So if you're stepping in and you are a traditionalist and has had a very maybe I'll just say linear practice, or just you coming in the room and you're starting in Sun Salutation A, well, when you walk in my room, expect to lay down in Savasana for 1 to 5 minutes and do a body scan, intentional body scan. And then apply some other movement that you need for your body before you start practice. And if you were doing other movement practices, what would you do before you do those movement practices? Roll out your glute, maybe do some cat-cow, but more with just the thoracic spine, and then focused on lumbar spine. Are you having to do thoracic rotations a different way? Like what do you have to do?
These are like mini prescriptions for each individual in your room full of people, which is, just takes so much skill to be able to orchestrate all of that.
Yes, it does. And after they do that, can you be okay with not doing all of the practice that you've been doing for a little while? So
that's a toughie.
Yeah. That non-attachment.
Yeah. No, I don't need to be doing 500 pull-ups a day because it's creating pain.
Right.
Or whatever it is.
Right. But coming back to what you were saying, applying, us collaborating together, but applying what you have worked on with them in their movement practice. Like before you start your movement practice, exactly what you were saying. Yeah. Lay down, roll out, blah, 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 and then do your movement practice. And then I'll come up and say, I see something different. Are you doing something? One of our mutual clients, I say, I see something different. is that a Shila thing? That's what I call it. She goes, yes, it is a Shila thing. Do you want me to do? I said, no, I want you to keep doing your Shila thing. This is what I want you to do. So you can figure it out while you're doing this shape. Do it.
So they say the cobbler is the one with the holes in his shoes, right? And that's essentially me. So in my journey as a yoga practitioner, I was in pretty heavily embedded patterns, physical patterns, so much so that I was so compressed, torqued, and sheared that I had length imbalances in my torso, in my hips, and in my legs that presented as a structural leg length inequality, and wore a giant lift in my shoe for many years, about 10 years. And I was so dedicated to this method of changing my posture, which I now don't do, but it was using the orthotic of a lift. I was so dedicated to it that I was wearing a lift in my yoga practice. And I have to say that was actually detrimental to my body. I ended up compounding these patterns because it propped the patterns up. And so I learned so much from having these holes in my shoes as a cobbler that this is a lot of my inspiration as a practitioner. What I do now is that I know you can help yourself through functional movement. That's always been key and a goal, just coming from a physical background. You can't really depend on orthotics solely. Usually the body relaxes in orthotics. So then the strength just goes out the window. But in my case, it really propped up the issues. And so to give people little hints of alignment cues, that it's just providing a space in their body that they haven't explored yet. And you don't even know it's there. Because I certainly I wouldn't have stayed in all that alignment dysfunction if I knew otherwise, obviously. I didn't even know it was there. So I have wonderful tools that have helped me discover different spaces in my joints that I now use with my clients. But I hate to see the general public coming in time and time again in pain from the work they're doing to try to make themselves a healthy person, meaning going to the gym or doing a yoga practice, but they're repeating the same patterns. So that's the thing that I'm really passionate about. It's like, hey, let's explore some other you don't even know you're stuck in a pattern. I mean, I really didn't. I thought all these little explorations of movement that I had done prior to the big change that I ended up getting out of the lift and leveling out my my pelvis and diaphragm. Prior to that big change, it's like you're so not conscious that you're in this deep seated pattern that it's like, how do you get out of it without glimpsing this other side? So that's part of what my goal is with people, is try to help them see options beyond their typical pattern. Because even when you're thinking you're doing practices to mitigate these strongly held, alignment relationships, even with those little exercises that I've always done all my life as a dancer, you're still going to be stuck in your pattern if you don't have that awareness. So anyways, I just have to say,
well, a bonus to the students coming to see you is that in the Ashtanga practice, because it is repetitive and it is structured, that the students can get really hung up on, I've been taught to do it this way, so why would I want to do it this way? It's like, well, you've got to come out of that pattern to see. And so that's definitely a gift from you, like bringing that in and helping them see their bodies better. But yeah.
And this pattern that we keep talking about, when I say pattern, it always alludes to the same thing. It's this helical pattern. I have this little model up in here. This is like your
telescope.
DNA.
That's Hannah's telescope.
Yeah, this is Her daughter was here the other day using this as a
At
toy.
the end and a crystal at the end. Look at all the crystals there. Telescope.
But it's a good representation of what happens to our bodies because we develop, this is spiral theory in a nutshell, because we develop in a spiral pattern, our limb buds develop in a spiral based on the relationship that the unfurling of the spine has provided. We end up in patterns that are helical. So it's like we end up torqued. The common word for it is scoliosis. I mean, it's like you could use the word or not, but there's a lot of negative connotations and it seeming like a huge dysfunction, but really we all have it. So we're all torquing in our patterns, and it's like our body's way of trying to find stability. So to undo it, in some practices, it's not really that safe just to undo one bit of it because your body needs it because based on everything else that it's doing in alignment. So it has to be this like kind of full body, almost all at once kind of switch to relax out of that pattern. It is not easy to accomplish. I have to use a tool called the OOV that got me there. And I'm furthering my education with the OOV trainings coming up soon. So I'm very excited to keep learning down this path because it was the sole thing that got me out of my lift. It was the one thing that helped me see my joints, help my joints see areas that they had never seen before.
The OOV is amazing.
It's really cool. It's beyond amazing.
So cool.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
I'm going to bring the OOVs into your next yoga course.
Well, I can't wait till when they just look at it.
They're going to be like, what is that? The comments I get from that thing. I'm going to do a podcast on just the OOVs soon.
You
so
need to.
I will
You
be.
need to. It's quite amazing.
But it gets you into this, like, they call it the plasmic state where your body is constantly trying to regulate. And if you are regulated, there's a chance that you're using a rigidity strategy. That's your old pattern. But if you're in a state that you're not able to regulate, that's a changeable place to be in. It mimics utero. It's like,
so cool.
I have options that you didn't even know you had. So I use that tool, but I bring what I feel and find, and some of my clients, I put them on it. And what did you feel? I bring that into, well, this is where you might want to fill up your diaphragm if you can put your focus there in your yoga practice. And it's so beneficial. I mean, for me, I used to come out of Shavasana with a twinge every single time in my right SI joint because I was bending in my most flexible areas and not supporting in my weakest areas, not knowing it. And so further going down that path of being stuck in this pattern. And so the class itself would put me further into my pattern. So after Shavasana, I would come out of it always with I just knew that was going to be there. Since using the OOV, getting out of my lift and thinking about things in a just a new way, like a child, that does not happen anymore. And my leg length I'm down to about 4 millimeters. So it was more functional.
Awesome.
It wasn't structural. Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. It's exciting that change is possible. And that is the most exciting thing for me to put out there into the world is that you're not stuck the way you think you are. Like you can change and it's really you that can make that change. Like we think it's someone else, but it's really you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. My brain is all over the place right now thinking about just the network, the holistic network, and how I have a network of people and you have a network of people that you collaborate with, you work with or refer. And my network used to be really big I've got 5 massage therapists, I've got a Rolfer over here, I got 3 chiropractors, a PT, personal trainers. And not to discredit anyone, but it's shrank down to I have Shila, and I have a chiropractor. I have several other yoga teachers too, because I believe that, teachers should share information and knowledge, and teachers need teachers. And I have massage therapists, but I hardly ever use them anymore. I don't, because I find that I enjoy massage and I enjoy soft tissue release and I enjoy that. And the flush, but I don't know. I'm a strong believer of the spiral theory and everything that Body Center brings and that you bring to our community, and helping people see and make change, very subtle. Subtle. It's subtle change. That's the thing.
Huge.
It's like it's so subtle,
It's
but
subtle
it's so
and huge.
it's like radically impactful.
Yeah.
And
essentially, because I haven't done my full podcast on what spiral theory is, which is coming up, like episode 10. It's essentially the work I'm doing is to identify the patterns, identify the dominant slings and chains, and all of this I learned from the OOV guy. And then bringing in, his name is Daniel Vladetta, the creator of the OOV, and then bringing in my my background as a neurosomatic specialist, which is very precise, detailed clinical massage. And it's not like the way it's different than typical massage is it's not kind of like a bilateral releasing. It's really just plucking away at the tissues that are holding the distortions. And when you can really cover the most influential areas of your body, which would be like C1, the hips, the ankles, and actually the hands and what drives into the shoulders. So a lot of the most proprioceptive areas in the body, if you make sure to touch on all of those, it's a global change and that's why you say you notice it. It's noticeable when you get up.
Absolutely.
And that you don't always get with a traditional massage.
You don't. And that's
not always the goal of a traditional massage. So
yeah, and it's not, and traditional massage is to do soft tissue release and muscle and like flush your lymph and maybe work out some lactic acid in your body. But for structural change, that's not for a typical massage. And massage therapists are great. They're great. But I just think like for myself and for my students who are looking for that structural change in their body, so they can be out of pain, they could be out of discomfort, they could figure out how to stand taller, whatever it is, this is where it's at.
Yeah, I feel like it's killing two birds with one stone. Like if you're going to lay for an hour on a table, you might as well get the alignment that you need.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We don't have a lot of time to be just getting massages every day. Too bad, but that's how it is.
Right.
So I'm
super excited about our collaboration.
Yes, that's where I was headed. So we have more future endeavors that we're embarking on. And we don't know really how it's going to lay out, but we're noticing a lot of really positive feedback from the students that we share, that we actually are going to start putting together a program where we will come together. And like I said, we haven't hashed out the details, but it's going to be an offering for this area, maybe even online, maybe even some Zoom stuff could be a possibility. But yeah, I just love collaborating with movement professionals because I strongly believe you need both to help yourself. You need to be able to have the care in your body, the safety to let go, maybe hit some of the places that an exercise wouldn't really get to the depth of what it needs to release or change. And then also apply it into movement and functional movement. So then it's a new neural pathway. So then you don't go back into your old pattern. Without both, you don't hold it.
Yeah.
You don't hold it. So it's definitely a passion of mine to have that movement kind of reinforcing.
I'm super excited.
Oh my gosh, so excited. We don't know what's going to come.
We're stewing the other day. It's like, oh, we could do this or we could do that. Or we could start like, so, let's sit down and put our business brains together and talk about it. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that.
Yes. And very, honored to continue our collaboration with the 300-hour training.
Which I'm loving.
Yeah. So we're still I need to stay in the present in this one. And so next year, which there is one next year that starts in February and ends in September. It's 1 weekend a month and in person, and then 3 Zoom sessions online for a couple hours a month. But
and you want to do it yearly,
Yearly, yes, yearly,
and with lots of collaborations besides, because your philosophy is collaborating too. So you have a lot of great people on your roster.
Yeah, I have Greg Nardi, who is with Ashtanga Yoga Worldwide and Yoga for Change. He is doing the in-depth philosophy. That's been wild to talk about some great conversations. going on, brains exploding, contradictions, and maybe even a little bit of bias. I mean, it's just like so much because philosophy is debatable. But the books we're reading are great.
And they're like 3,000 years old, probably.
Yeah. Well, no, they're actually quite new, but making you do some serious critical thinking.
I love that.
And think about what you've been reading and what you've been told for so long. You know, I'm having to rethink how I view the sutras. I'm having to rethink the history of yoga in a different way. It's not completely taking it off scale, but it's definitely shedding some light on some areas, and then also bringing some clarity and validation to things that I've questioned. But there's so much. So there's anatomy, there's philosophy, there's trauma and nidra with Annie Orkelin. There's also Ayurveda practices and theories and Marma points in practice. So Marma points, acupressure points. We had a big weekend on that with Brittany George from Earthbound Ayurveda. And I want to say I might be forgetting somebody. I hope I'm not. And then Ryan Marino, who is a dear friend. He's actually my Ashtanga husband. But he has been practicing yoga and studying yoga and meditation and pranayama for decades, longer than, I think maybe a decade before I even met him. And he's doing the pranayama and the meditation, and that has been great because he also loves teaching, but needs a platform to teach. So that's good. So if you're interested in 300 hour in advancing your yoga knowledge and skill set, come see me. Those viewers out there who are listening.
And there's more that you offer that's not just a teacher training.
No, there's
those anatomy bites.
Oh yeah, so I had some workshops called Anatomy. There's so much. Like there's Anatomy Snack Bite. Those have been really fun.
And those are at Body Electric in St. Pete. I think you can chime in virtually as well.
You can chime in virtually. I've done 3 2-hour sessions. One was on the spine, divine spine. Because before you can talk about the pelvis and the shoulders, you need to learn about the central channel of the body, the spine. So the mobility of the spine. And then I did one on sacred pelvis. And then the last one I did was on mobile shoulders. And they've all been really great. It's just enough information. But also teaching those it's so challenging to pack all the information into 2 hours.
What do you have to prune? That's the hard part.
And so just so you know, in order for this part of the body to move, it also works with this part of the body and that part of the body, and nothing is separate. Everything is connected. Although when you look in anatomy, it's like, here's this section, this section, this section, but nothing works in our body by itself.
Right.
It's all spiraled and integrated together. So that, and I have also some Ashtanga workshops that I offer that I'll be offering again next year to the Ashtanga community and any curious minds out there, curious bodies out there that want to come in. And so we do breakdowns of the practice. And I know you're going to ask me about something else or bring up something else. My soup club, which you are in love with.
Yeah. So you have many, many talents.
I do. I think I would like to
You are one of the most talented soup chefs and probably other types of food, but I've mostly just had your soups that I've ever come across. And just to tell a quick story, when I was at your house once while you were making the batch for everyone, you had me taste it and you said, is there anything missing? And I was like, I felt like I had to say something. So I was like, pepper? I didn't know. I mean, it was perfect. And you're like, oh, I know. I think you said mantra is missing. And I said, what spice is mantra? You did. I've never heard of mantra as a spice. And then you stood over the pot and prayed. And I was like crying. I was like, no wonder it tastes so good.
Mantra every time. every time.
It's the closest thing to mother's nourishment.
Oh, you're making me tear up over here.
Me too. Your food is that good. Oh, my goodness. It's very special. And so you like give to the community this opportunity to join in your soup club. It's kind of exclusive. It's not for the world, but
right. It is a bit exclusive because my kitchen is only so big. And I've always had this this theory about cooking food that you cook for people you know and you love.
Yeah.
And it just keeps it more, it just makes it more special. And I used to think about cooking in a restaurant, and then I would be working in the restaurant, bussing tables, bartending, waiting tables, expoing, and just the amount of stress that goes in, and then the food that's being cooked. Yeah, it tastes good, but it's just this assembly line, It's just this assembly line of work that's being done, and the love behind it is lost. Now, don't get me wrong, there are several beautiful chefs in the Tampa Bay area that you can feel the love in their food, and their restaurants are small. And the food is done very beautiful, but you can feel the heart and the soul and the love that's gone into there, whether they're cooking for the same local customer or guests that are coming in. Yeah, I've always wanted to. My mom taught me at a very young age how to make, I'd say maybe like 75% of all traditional Korean dishes. It's my heritage. I'm half Korean, and she was an amazing cook. I'm not going to call her a chef. She was an amazing cook, and she just taught me how to be very organic in cooking. We hardly ever measured anything.
Right.
And I still do that. And I think that's a problem that I have with, if I was to ever extend this, which maybe one day I will extend it to an actual like little soup kitchen, that I will have to start measuring things out, which is going to be really hard for my brain because, when you get into measuring, it's, I think one of the specialties about Soup Club is I do repeat soups.
Right. You want some consistency, but
yeah, I want some consistency, but I try not to do it every single week because then you get burned out, right? So I like to give you variety. But when I come back, I feel like, oh, this batch is better. Oh, this batch is a little bit different. What's so different about this one? Oh, I think this one is perfect.
Like, what did I do?
Yeah, what did I do? I don't remember what I did there. But the people coming into the Soup Club are started out with people that I know and love. And then those people have asked if they could extend it to people that they know and love. And I've said yes, because I don't like to say no. And, it's just been a great thing. It's filling that passion that I have for cooking without being married to a restaurant. My daughter gets to see me cook, and hopefully one day she'll stand up beside me and help me.
And you're nourishing us. I mean, everyone that's in your soup club, we are just like, what's next week's soup? Oh, I'm going to get 2, or am I going to get 3? Like, I love it so. That's my favorite. It's just,
it's been great.
It's such a nice little tidbit of being involved in the community. I just love it. I just love it. I would love to see what you end up. I think you have potentially a cookbook brewing.
Yeah, I do. I'm working on that.
I can't wait for that.
That's fun. That's been a fun project.
So Sacred Jade Yoga, Body Electric is where you do most of your teaching.
In-person teaching. Yes.
300 hours, 200-hour trainings yearly. So look out for all of that, and look out for our future collaborations together that we are brewing right now.
Yes.
So,
and I also have a retreat coming up in Ecuador in September. I have some spaces open. This is an annual retreat. So we're returning back to Inti Kamari, and it is in the subtropical Yingia Valley. It's outside of like the big cities, small. You don't even, at one point I was like, am I in Florida? Someplace in Florida, because it was so tropical. And then stepping out and going hiking, I'm like, where am I? In some mountains of...
It's really diverse.
Yeah, it's very diverse. But yoga, meditation, it's really about nourishing. It's called Nourish Your Soul.
Love it.
So, and it is about nourishing your soul in every way. So you can find that on my website, Sacred Jade Yoga. And yeah,
Wonderful.
I don't know. We could talk for forever. And can I say one more thing?
Of course you can.
For everybody listening out there, if you haven't been to the Body Center, you need to get here. And it might take a little time. You might have to be on a little bit of a waiting list, which is fine, but it's totally worth the wait. And if you just come for one visit, you will have so much insight into your body that you didn't even know was there. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Jade.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
You're
you.
truly a gift to this community. Come see the magician.
Thank you so much. I just love you. I love
you too.
collaborating with you, and I have so much to look forward to with you in my life. So I'm
Thanks,
thrilled.
Sheila.
Thank
Same
you
here.
all.